Aphrodite of Knidos was an ancient Greek sculpture carved in the round from white marble in the late classical period, between the years 350 and 340 BCE by the artist Praxiteles. It was purchased by the Cnidians and placed in the Temple of Aphrodite at Knidos, a special sanctuary built for the sculpture to be viewed in the round. Praxiteles made two statues of Aphrodite, one nude and one clothed. Both were offered for sale by the city of Kos. Kos, thinking it was more appropriate for her to be clothed, bought that version. The Canadians were left with only the nude Aphrodite to choose from. They accepted it, and it became much more famous. So much so that today we do not know what the clothed version looked like. The original nude is also lost. This is a photograph of the Colonna Venus, which is currently housed in the Vatican's Pio Clementine Museum. There were many Roman marble copies of the Aphrodite of Knidos, but this one is best known and is considered the most faithful to the Greek original. We see Aphrodite prepare for her ritual bath that restores her purity. She stands in twisted contrapposto. She obscures her pubic area with one hand in an act of false modesty and discards her drapery with the other onto the vase beside her. Her breasts are exposed. The art of the 4th century BCE is reflective of the political instability and strife caused by the Peloponnesian War. Its subjects were more dynamic, more human. This sculpture of Aphrodite shows the goddess naked and vulnerable in the very human act of bathing. And she must be bathing, though there is nothing to indicate this besides her nudity. But before this time, in ancient Greece, only men were shown nude. Their bodies were considered the property of the state. Depictions of the gods were idealized human forms. Nudity was a uniform of strength and bravery for men, but women were considered the property of men, and therefore their bodies were kept private. There were depictions of women, but they were always clothed. The original Aphrodite of Knidos is the first known life-sized nude of a woman in ancient Greece. It is this nude from which the Greek canon for the female form was established. This canon is a collection of standardized proportions on which future sculptures of nude women would be based. Her idealized form is relaxed and sensual. Because the naked female body was not considered socially acceptable, the Aphrodite of Knidos was seen as a sexual object and caused a well-documented sensation for inspiring sexual arousal in her male viewers. She is also sexualized in the act of covering herself by reaffirming her nudity and vulnerability. This perception of the sculpture as a sexual object may have been intensified by the rumor that it was based on a famous hetaira, a courtesan, or a prostitute named Phryne. Women had little to no autonomy over their bodies or the outcome of their lives, except in a few unique circumstances. They were not considered to have the reasoning ability of men. They were not granted political positions or the ability to vote. Their primary role was to bear and raise children. There was little place for an older unmarried woman in Greek society at all. One defensive adaptation of single women was to band together in groups, most famously the Amazons. But being the legal property of men meant that your body could be paid for if it were for sale. Prostitution was not only legal in ancient Greece, but brothels were considered essential for daily life. They were incredibly common. Archaeologists frequently identify them by the pit of newborn babies' bones. This period of strife caused by the Peloponnesian War had positive transformative effects for Greek women in that they began to act more outside of the home. And Phryne, the prostitute, became the wealthiest woman in Athens. She was once put to trial for impiety, accused by a former lover, and defended by a current one. She was released after one final plea to the jury. Legend has it that she bore her breasts to them, or that her defender stripped her of her clothes to convince them of her divinity, saying that only the gods could have made something so beautiful.